We're live.
Welcome to the fifth dimension. I am Naji your host, with my co-host Kintu Martin Coward. How you feeling today, Kintu?
I am feeling fantastic today. I love doing this and I look forward to it and I'm ready and prepared. And what really makes me feel good is that we didn't have all those technical problems this week as we had last week. And that just feels good. Feels like the universe has really got my back. So I'm excited about our conversation here today and looking forward to sharing the joy that of living in fifth dimension. It's just truly a beautiful thing to do, and I just love it. And I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, man, me too. I appreciate that. Um, pers- Personally, I'm uh, I'm feeling a little. I got joy. I'm happy to be
Mhm.
here, and I also am feeling a bit of just a little bit of fear of vulnerability in this moment, right?
Mhm.
As I get closer to the realness of just being a human being during this time, this beautiful time that we're living in, that you and I keep talking about, this fifth dimension,
Mhm.
beyond the material, closer to the intuition, closer to that unconditional love that I would say I would love to live in all the time. So, and with that, it's been a journey this past week,
Yes,
hasn't
it
it?
has. It certainly has in every way. Sometimes those challenges we don't enjoy them when we're in them, do we? But
No.
we have to remember that the universe is actually out for us, which is often hard when we're in the middle of, like when my WhatsApp account got hacked yesterday and I couldn't communicate with my African family. I went into the universe is out to get me until I realized, well, no, really, it's just an opportunity to learn. And the universe always has got my back. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the learning can be tough sometimes, like you said. For me, I this past week, building this coaching program, and all the thoughts that came up for me that hit me so strongly. I read this piece that I shared with you, and it brought up all this stuff inside of me, all this shadowy, the shadow piece, the part of me that I hide, repress, and deny, or the part that's unconscious that drives my life.
Hmm.
This usually it's really old. For me, I felt it was extremely old, so much so that it become a part of me. And when we talked about it, this was the piece here. I've shared it in other groups, but it's a mantra. It came from an older book, and it goes, "I care for myself. The more solitary, the more friendless, the more unsustained I am, the more I will respect myself." And
Yeah.
man, it hit me so deeply in this place that I just forgot about, And when I first read it, it sounded like something I had resistance to it, because this part of me that doesn't want to be alone, doesn't
Uh-huh.
want to be living in solitary, it doesn't want to be solitary, all that, right? And you and I had a conversation,
Uh-huh.
because as we built this, I was like, man, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do any of this. I hate all this, this worldly common stuff, right? This stuff that everyone expects. Hate expectations. And I was just pushing back, pushing back. And so I felt like this was a good opportunity to share some of the work that we do, just from even my perspective, because I do work too. And that's
Of
one thing.
course.
This is part of it. Right.
Yeah. We all have to do our work, and I love that. Let me just give you what that little phrase means. Read it again. I want to tell you what that means to me, and in a real succinct way. Go ahead and read that sentence again. I think it's very very powerful. It's been kind of the theme of our work this week, hasn't it?
Yeah. I care for myself. The more solitary, the more friendless, the more unsustained I am, the more I will respect myself.
Yeah, I think that's gorgeous. And what it means to me is the more I'm able to let go of my attachments to the past, whatever they are, whether they're my attachments to friends or my attachments to material things, the more I'm able to let go, and even my attachment to my own self, my own life. When I'm able to let go of attachments to the material world, I can move into this deeper space of connection with the divine. And that's what I've discovered in working with you this week around that sentence, around that topic. It's a beautiful topic.
Mm, mm, mm. I like the way you put that. I like the way you put that. That was good. And it's beautiful. And it's not so beautiful getting there.
No, it's not. We don't want to let go of those attachments, particularly those attachments that we feel comfortable that make us feel small.
Right. So the piece that I was working on is how does one become attached to these things?
Uh huh.
You know, how did I become attached to these things? And that was the older work that I'm saying that I think I'm not the only one that avoids these really sensitive parts. And a lot of us will have these experiences in life. For me, it was childhood abandonment type stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I created attachments around, things, people, places that bring this sense of peace, but it's a sense of peace from a place of pain, and that's the part that makes unhealthy reactions
Mm-hmm.
come from it. And I'm sharing this because I think it could be useful,
Mm-hmm.
because we have the ones that we know like you just said, in the grand scheme, the beautiful piece is what we're trying to get to. You know,
Yeah.
we're trying to get to this healthy expression of attraction and
Mm-hmm.
acceptance without the attachment piece that makes it unhealthy. And so, one question that what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep it really real here because I like that better.
Keep it real.
I like it better. Yeah, because I took notes on this, and I
Let
had
me hear
to because
some.
it was so
Please,
so
please
much
share
happening.
them.
So
Please share them.
it's coming, man. It's coming. Let me look at this. So the question I asked myself, and I also posed to the audience here, right? So where am I not loving and supporting myself? So where are you not loving and supporting yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Because what I've tended to do is look for people outside of me or things outside of me to show me love and support in some way, not verbally. I would say like show me love because I can't love myself and I don't want to love myself and support myself. All right, but it's like unconscious conversations and things that we do to try to get other people to love and support us. Right.
Yeah.
That's been my experience. So
Yes.
that's the question I posed for
Yeah.
people to
What
sit
we
with.
try to do when we've been abandoned, we feel afraid that we're going to be abandoned again. So we go out and we do things to prove we're worthy of not being abandoned. And that's not loving yourself because trying to be somebody that you're not so that you won't be abandoned. So that's a huge breakthrough for you. It has been a huge breakthrough for you, I think.
Yeah, it has been huge because it's unconscious, and if we're going to talk about mindfulness, it's about getting present with what's really happening.
Mhm.
what's really happening. And the way that I got to that point was a lot of breathing. And as I asked these questions and spent time with it, it really hit me that even doing this work, like coaching, for me to make the decision to really do it, I know that there's things I have to fix in me as well. Always, always be willing to do that work. Because just because I help someone else fix things in them doesn't mean it's going to fix things in me.
That's right.
And I do feel like that's the thing that's really present, not just in the coaching industry, but even in the therapy industry as well. Where at some point, as coaches, we can get to the point where we feel like we don't have to do, we forget to do our work. I
Yes,
know that I
sir.
know that we do work when we're in, we do work when we're in communication with the clients and stuff like that. It happens, right? We learn, but it just never we never want to get to the point where we think we know it all and aren't willing to look honestly at what's happening.
Yes.
And I think that's super important in this place that we're in, and that's what took me to this point in this work. You know, and what so I want to ask you, Kintu, about some of that for you, some things you've experienced when you're in a situation and you're coaching someone, you have some work come up for you. How do you usually handle that?
Well, that's a very good question. It's what I really try to do is to find out what's going on in the moment, and if I just get
Mm,
still and listen, what happens is when I find myself when that happens, it's usually I have shifted into some kind of fear of something. I don't have the answer. I don't know. So I'm feeling some fear. Is usually when that comes up in coaching. And so what I have to do is I have to do my own work, and I just have to say, okay, breathe and let it go. And what's underneath all that? What needs to be said here? What needs to be done here? And it's usually the way through it for me is just really deep listening, just listening to what's going on in the other, so I can find where to reconnect again. Because somehow I've gotten into my head in fear. I'm aware of it, and I got to feel it, flow with it, let it go, and reconnect with whoever I'm engaging with, or whether it's a client or my husband. It doesn't really matter. It's like we all go into we all go into shadow because we get triggered. So that's going to happen. And so what your point of is it's going to happen to coaches. It's going to happen to therapists. We have to learn how to not try to spiritually bypass that stuff and really feel into it, because that's where the real magic actually happens.
that's right. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. So me growing up, like I said, in a really religious household, it was it's easy to try to give it all to God, right? That's what I
Hmm.
was told.
Or live up
But
to
what
the
if we?
expectation of that religious institution of what you're supposed to be in order to be loved by God.
Well, yeah, that's the other side of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the other side of it. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and even like, let's say we're going through something that we're really sad about, and we're supposed to give that to God and talk about in that sense we're
Hmm.
experiencing something. But what if you don't know what you're giving to God? Okay, so that's I don't know if that's landing, but we say we're giving our sadness to God, right? But what is causing the sadness? And it's not just the experience of this that's happening in the moment.
Right.
Sometimes it's what the moment is triggering from the past, and that's
Uh,
what
yeah.
recognizing.
Yeah. That's exactly what you're talking about is what is it you got to let go of and give to God? What are you holding on to? What are you trying to attach to that you're afraid
Right.
to let go of and let God take care of you? And that's the work that you do and I do, and we That's living in the fifth dimension. It is not something that you do once and all of a sudden you're there. It is an ongoing moment to moment process of attaching and detaching, attaching and detaching, attaching and detaching.
Exactly. Yeah. For me, this part of what I'm holding on to and what don't I want to let go of is all the stories I've told myself around my
Mm-hmm.
mother.
Mm.
And this is the conversation. You know, one thing I recognize, even like doing men's work, is a lot of time I let my mother off the hook because she's mom, and moms can do no wrong, even if they do wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, along the way, I've attached to my mother not being there in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I really have, and in a sense where everything continues to affirm how I'm not worthy of love based upon my mom not being there.
Yeah.
And I heard this one thing one time. Um, I forgot what book it was from. I want to say it was from a love and relationships book, but the quote was, "Live as if your parents are dead."
What do you mean by that? Mine are dead, so I don't have a
I get
choice.
that, right?
I gotta live like they're dead because they are dead. Well, what is that?
On,
What are you saying to that in the world of people who living as your parents would? I mean, I kind of know where you're headed, but to help the audience understand what's underneath all that.
I am, yeah. So what's underneath all that for me is a lot of times the relationship with my parents has informed my reactions and actions in everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And I can continue to play out what happened with my parents over and over again with other people. Now, on one hand, they're still accessible inside of me
Mm-hmm.
because I continue to think about them and see them the same way, but it's unconscious because that's the story they gave me when I was a kid, and I accepted it, right? Whatever it may be, like whether I'm not worthy of love, or when I do something wrong, um, I deserve to be abused for that, so I abuse myself inside when I speak and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the goal is to live as if our parents are dead, in a sense where we create our life how we want to, without their stories playing in our minds every time something happens that reminds us of what they would have said if we
Mm-hmm.
did something that was wrong. Okay. Right? Or what they wouldn't have said, what they never said that we wanted them to say, that too. And so this is the deeper piece, because for me, all I ever wanted, two things. Let's start with the mom first. All I ever wanted was for my mom to be there to nurture me, hug me, love me, tell me I could never do anything wrong. Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's the beginning piece. That's what all kids kind of want, to be able to feel like they,
Yeah.
we don't
They're,
want to do anything wrong.
yeah, they're born in this world. They want to feel like they belong here by their mom. They brought them here. That's pretty understandable.
Exactly. Okay. So, and in that, I have placed that exact same, um, I've placed that expectation, that childlike expectation, upon friends, family, and partners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because my mother is living a lot of times through people that I say I love, but through me.
Mm-hmm.
So I can continue to create the scenario, because no one can love me like I can love me.
That's right.
No one can really love me like I can love me, right? Or like when I was a kid, how my mom could show me how to love me, okay, all that kind of thing. No one can be my mom, and no one can love me how I can love myself. And so to even put the expectation out there is setting myself up for failure, or more heartache, more affirmation that, or confirmation that I'm not worthy to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And mm, that was, I mean, I feel like I've gotten to that point close, but I didn't really want to touch it because of all the pain, all the sadness, all the tears, all the anger that could come from that. Because damn it, mom, I wish you were there. You know, But that's over. It's that part is over. Now it's time to reparent myself from that nurturing place of what do I need right now? Or as things happen, as things unfold, like you said, in the moment, what do I need right now?
Mm-hmm.
And to be willing to ask myself the question and to give myself that. And if I can't give myself that, make an agreement to give myself something similar right now in the moment or whatever. But that's part of the mindfulness part, me breathing through everything. Because one thing I recognize is when I stop breathing, I can stuff it immediately. It just goes away. I think I spoke to this a little bit last week, but it's a deepening. And every time I talk about these kind of things, I think deeper, deeper, deeper. Uh, and so the conversation had to be had. I had to have the conversation with myself, right? And it was like 2 days worth of conversating in silence, going off
Mm-hmm.
by myself, writing things out. I've got a shit ton of pages here of things I wrote out and what I want to give myself and all this. And then there's a second piece that was
Before
really
you go to
powerful.
the second, I want to just bookmark something you just said because it's a great teaching piece, and that's
Cool.
what you did. You were struggling with some inner conflict, right? So what did
Yeah,
you do? You got still. You went into solitude. You took a journal and you wrote about it, and you got clear. So that's the message you want to tell. We want to tell our audience today. Well, what do you do when you find yourself in this place? Well, that's what I do, and what Naji said he did is you go out and you spend some time with yourself. And as Ram Dass says, everything is about being intimate with our own heart. Everything that happens in the universe happens within the intimacy of our own heart. So that practice that you have of going out, taking a couple of days off this week to sit with nature and write about it, that's the piece that that helps you get here. So I'm just wanting to make sure that our audience realize, well, what do you do? Well, you stop what you're doing and you go out and you take your journal and you sit with yourself in nature and you find out what's going on inside.
that's right.
Hmm.
Yeah, thanks for the bookmark.
Yeah,
That's
good.
really
Now,
cool.
now, what was the next thing you were going to say?
Yeah, thank you. See, Kintu slows me down sometimes. Like I need that. I get excited about these things.
I know you do.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next piece to that, because we're talking about parents and living as if they're dead, kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
Not necessarily. Not death is not morbid. There's so much to be learned,
Hmm.
and it's really
I mean,
about
my parents have been
the
dead for quite a
reflections that
number.
come up.
Just to say, for someone whose parents really are dead, who have died years ago, they live in my head every day. They're more real in my life today than they were when they were living, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
Right.
So I like the quote now, and
Exactly.
thank you
Thank
for the
you.
explanation because now I really understand it, and I agree with you. It's like live with us your parents are dead because I do, and it's really wonderful, quite frankly. Not that they're dead, but because I can live, I've let go of that attachment that I have to have them here in order to enjoy life.
Yes. Exactly. That's definitely. Thank you. That's a step closer. Uh, it's really the voice. It's really their voices dying in your head.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the main piece. I want to make that clear because it's not. I'm by no means saying that we want to celebrate the death of our parents and things like that for
Mm-hmm.
anyone that may take it away. I'm saying the voices their voices that don't serve us anymore to allow that to die so we can replace it with what really works.
Yeah, those voices that are
So
always telling us what we should do. We should do this. We should do that. Or it's all those voices that parents were trying to bring us up, and it's all the things they're telling us that really aren't healthy for us. What we want to hear is that they love us no matter what, but instead they're telling us these other things that get stuck in our heads.
right, and sometimes they're not saying it intentionally either. They may not even say any words.
Right. Right.
Sometimes they're not showing up at all. They're not saying anything at all, which is and then kids create their own story about what that
Mm-hmm.
means.
Mm-hmm.
And then we carry that into adulthood and we create the same scenario over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking to my mother So now I just want to talk about the father piece, and the father
Okay.
piece was a huge one. That was the one that really broke me down because I realized that the duty of the father. And I had this conversation. Everything's so divine. I had a conversation with my my ex father-in-law, right, and we were talking about fatherhood. And one thing he mentioned was that fathers need to be there for their kids because of the discipline piece, loving discipline, and how fathers do that. And it was just a part of. I mean, I know that, but the conversation and the timing of it even helped me reflect on my own upbringing in that sense, because I always do that. And the part that struck me when you and I talked that really had me in puddles was I always had a fear of of the authoritarian energy, and so I would respond with rebellion. That's a natural thing for me, and it's because I didn't have the authoritarian when I was growing up. My dad wasn't there in that sense, so I didn't have the discipline that said, do it anyway, even if you don't want to do it, that kind of thing, or like, don't do it that way because you could hurt yourself, or
Right.
that. And so there have been times instead in my life where when I wanted to do things that I was really good at, I was given the out to quit if it was too hard, or I didn't really want to do it. The females in my life would say, for one reason or another, whether I need to focus on school instead, or spend time with God instead, whatever. The things I was really good at was like, no, you should quit that because you really want to do this, or it's hard for you, or the schedule's not right, so just don't do it. So that was the story I got from the feminine nurturing side that wants me to feel good, right, from my grandmother, my aunts, or whatever. Instead of having the authoritarian that said, no, son, you stick in there, you do that, no matter what, you're going to learn so much from it, go. And then I realized how many friends and family I chose to continue to affirm that piece of me, that I don't have to do it, or that give me the okay to not do it, to not do things. And then when someone would push me and prod me, I get angry. And I kind of got angry with you, didn't I, this past week? I
Yeah,
mean,
you did. Got very angry.
and I came back, and it wasn't like I was like yelling at Kintu. But I gave him some feedback on what I didn't want to do and what I wanted to do. And I wrote them all out, man. I wrote them all out. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I hate this. I don't like this. But it's funny. It's funny because a lot of things I said I didn't want to do are things that have to be done for this business and for the life that is of my dreams.
What
Which
did you do with
that's
what did you do with that list of all the things you don't like to do? It
yeah.
was a good list, by the way.
So I did. Thank you. It was a great list. And what I did instead was what Kintu gave me a something to do, which I was so in my shadow that I forgot about it. And that's to transmute that energy into a creative energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times, if anyone knows about transmutation, there's the emotions are actually energy
Mm-hmm.
that we can use to put into other things. But the thing is, we don't want to do that. We don't want to run from the feeling and then transmute it, like transmute it by running. I find that it's way more powerful to really feel what that feeling is, so
Uh-huh.
that we can use that same energy to create this over here. Because if
Uh-huh.
we don't even feel it, how are we going to use it? So I took the list that I made. So the first list was all the things I'm okay with and I'm not okay with. Okay, and I had like six things I'm okay with, and like eight things I'm not okay with. Right? That lets you know right there. It's shadow. It's just all shadow. Like all this was just like all these excuses of why I don't want to do this stuff. Right. And even my rebel is its own part, its own shadow
Give the
itself.
audience an idea of two or three. You don't need to give the whole list, but just give the audience a couple of the big ones that you really had to do some work on, so they get a context
Yeah,
of
let me,
what you were struggling with this week, really, and where you are today.
yeah. So so let me share so it makes sense. This one big one. I want to share one big one was
Okay.
easy to change because it was so much shadow. So I said, so the last four out of the not okays. I'm not okay with rushing. I'm not okay with living someone else's dream. I want to serve and offer. I'm not interested in selling. I need freedom to create. I need freedom to be.
Mhm.
Just be me, right?
Mhm.
And then so that those four I transmuted into basically one sentence
Uh-huh.
or two sentences. Okay, let me get to those. So two sentences. I offer my services and use templates that have worked so that I can create freely and with my own unique expression.
Wow.
And yeah, that that was a big one. And
Mhm.
then I trust that I will be guided to work at the pace necessary for divinity to work through me perfectly.
That was the one I loved,
Yeah.
because that's learning how to be patient. And with work that I'm doing, I want my family from Africa here now. I don't want it to happen when the divine wants it to sometimes. So, but I have to let that go because they're not here yet, and realize that they're going to be here when the universe wants them to be here. It will happen, but not before that. So that's a great one to learn and practice. Practice,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's always about the practice and continuing to keep these things
Mhm.
foremost, like these awarenesses foremost, so that I can remind myself to not let the shadow take over. And I want to share this one too, because this was a big one as well. Because it's back, because I also was saying that all the ways I don't want to coach. Remember, I was like, I'm not okay with coaching groups. I'm not okay with coaching this way, blah, blah, blah. And then so
And I want to add, you were pretty defiant about. You were pretty clear about what you don't like and what you didn't want to do. By the way, that list wasn't just like you gave it some thought and you were clear about it. Your shadow was holding on to those things as if they were real.
yeah, my shadow was protecting me from being great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It was
exactly.
like, no, it's dangerous out there being allowed talking on talking on podcasts in front of groups and letting people project all this shit all over you. Like that's scary.
Yeah,
who, wants to, who wants to sit out there and let people just talk, like say whatever they want? Like, just go hang out and meditate and teach one on one and stay the same, bro. Just this is better here. It's quiet here. Um, oh man, because that's what being a leader is, right? It's agreeing to allow other people to project and judge, whether that be
yes,
good or not so good. Like that's the point. That's part of it, so that we can be maybe the catalyst for someone else to learn more about themselves.
right.
So that's scary though. I mean, and it's not just scary because it's not scary to the adult me, the coach me. It's scary to the little boy me that didn't have the ability physically, mentally, emotionally to protect himself.
Right.
And that's a lot of that's where the shadows are formed a lot of times, and that those times when we feel our weakest. But it's not true right now. And really what I would say is the fear around that is of my own anger, because like this that's a whole nother thing because of the
Yeah.
situations that happened when I was younger, and when someone pushed me to be angry and I would have lost control back then. So that's a whole nother shadow of losing control of myself in the anger. But also
Hmm.
it's not true of right now. Not
Right.
saying the capacity isn't still there because the anger is always there, but it's being able to slow down and really listen before it gets to that point. So I know now that I can hold that. I can actually hold that. And so that's not a true story around being projected on. Allow them to do that, because the trigger is a blessing and a gift for them. And so the other one that I think is great is, I love coaching as a means to retrieve souls from the shadows and shed a light on their brilliance.
Yes, I say that's a very true statement. Do you see what you did? You took all those false statements and flipped them into the truth. It doesn't that feel better?
Yeah, way better.
Because here you are doing it right now in this moment, and you look like you're having a good time to me.
I'm enjoying myself. Yeah. And that's what we talked about. That's turning the fear into love.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because in a sense, fear is love, because it's a self protection. It's a way to love oneself, just in a different way that doesn't always come out great. But it's not the love that's all prevailing. It's not the love that is transferable between another person all the time, because
Mm-hmm.
the fear is a secret. And so
Yeah, I mean the fear is
that's why I'm
pointing us
enjoying
to what.
myself now, because I'm actually loving it.
Yeah, the fear was pointing you to what you needed to heal, to what you needed to tend to. Is what you needed to treat. That old story, that old wound, the fear that came up in you. You felt real. You felt fear. I could tell you were feeling fear when we were talking. But it feels very real. But we know it. But when you really feel it, you realize that it's just an illusion based on an old story in the past. Because you're having a good time now.
Right. Yep. That's right.
I just want to let you know
Yeah.
that we can talk for the rest of the day, or at least until I have my next appointment at 12:15. But we're at about 36 minutes, and so I just wanted to let you know that we're welcome to continue talking. It's your show, but I just wanted to let you know that we're at 36 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I see that. Yeah. Yeah. This is, so I was going to say, it kind of threw me off a little bit there, Kintu, but it's okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw you out of balance. Go
No,
back.
it's
We
okay,
can.
man.
I didn't. I just wanted to kind of gently bring you back into where we are and
Okay.
what we're doing right now.
Yeah, because I was in it.
You were.
So
I apologize for taking you out there. I mean, I should have been, just let you go.
yeah, so we can go for a few more minutes.
Yeah, let's do it. Come on.
I wanted to oh yeah. So I wanted to say, because this was what was coming up for me, because really, I'm talking about this and doing this because this is a lot of this. What I'm doing right now is not what my shadow wants me to do. So,
You're right
it's
about that.
yeah, I'm really growing through this process as well, because
Uh-huh.
I'm a one-on-one coach, is what I would tell myself before. I'm just a one-on-one coach. I put myself out there. People find me. We work together. It goes great. It's quiet. It's peaceful. It's simple. you know, it's safe. It's safer. Okay. And so, and also have this rebellion piece with culture. This was another big one
Yeah.
where, that was also given to me, being counterculture, because I was, uh, I was raised, like, once again, in a cult like scenario where the organization I was part of felt like they were better than other people, and not only better than other people, but the world outside was not safe. And so
Mhm.
that actually is a part that comes up when I forget that it's about love, not fear. And that's the main reason why when I got old enough, I left that, because it never resonated with me, really, because I never wanted to be separate from other people. But it's a
Mhm.
sneaky thing when it becomes a habit over the time. And so this is pushing me beyond that comfort zone that I was told was safer. Even then, I was actually told it was safer. That, think about that as a kid. It's safer to just stay with your little friend group and be quiet and live a normal life, and just all gonna be okay. Just wait till you die, and then when you come back, you'll be happy. Like that kind of thing. When you get to heaven or paradise or whatever. then you can enjoy your happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like you talked about last week, heaven is right here, and we experience it by the life we build and how we build it, and the people around us, and how willing we are to do the shadow work, the dark work, and incorporate the light with the dark inside of us, and be willing to hold that and see that in other people. And so this is what I felt like I needed to talk to this week, and now we can move on. And if it comes back up, I'm gonna say something again, and I know you're gonna say something again because uh, you are the new loving friend that won't let me off the hook,
Yes, I am. I'll
and
take
that's what
that.
I appreciate.
And I appreciate
Yes,
that. I appreciate you saying that because that is true. I am the loving friend who's done a lot of shadow work who will not let you off the hook.
yes,
And I would say that's true for you. You don't let me off the hook either. It works in
yeah,
reverse. It works in it's a the beauty of our relationship to me is it's very reciprocal. We give each we're holding each space for each other to look at our shadows and not either one of us off the hook. And that's hard for people that you love sometimes because you have to tell people things that feel comfortable telling them. And often that's the case. So thank you. I love being that loving friend that will not let you off the hook, and I appreciate you being that loving friend of mine that won't let me off the hook either. Thank you.
you're welcome. And the the more that I don't let myself off the hook, the easier it is for you to do the same. And
Yeah,
so I also own that. I also own
yeah,
that
yeah.
because I noticed that as well. I let myself off the hook for so long. I asked the people in my life to do the same for me,
Ah,
unintentionally, not verbally, but just by how I show up. Like
I
I,
had,
I
I had a yeah, I had a coach that called that the devil's pack. I won't tell on your shit if you won't tell on mine.
ooh,
That's the devil's
yep,
pack. I won't tell
exactly.
on your shit if you won't tell on my shit. Well, you're not going to get anywhere with that. I need
Mm-mm,
someone that's willing,
nope,
like you and I say, to love me enough to tell me on my to call me on my shit.
yeah, ooh, thank you for that. Yeah, well, that's perfect. We can wrap it up right there.
Yeah,
So thank you, all who tuned into this. This was like I said, this is another expression of what it's going to be like and what it is like in the fifth dimension because it's really a marrying of the light and the dark and an expression of divinity in its fullness.
hmm,
Uh, no more shutting out the truth. It's
yeah,
about truth and love and the welcoming of the full experience of being a human
yeah.
being. So yeah,
That's
anything,
exactly what it is.
Kintu? What do you?
I just think
Yeah.
that this is living in the fifth dimension, and I just want to take a second to just plug something we're doing very exciting over at. I have in addition to our coaching business, I have a nonprofit affiliate called the Diamond Mind Academy, and if you want to check that out, you can go to our website. That's where you'll find our coaching program, but you'll also find all of our activities in the nonprofit realm. And I invite my listeners to go in and to learn more about us. Go to our website. One, you'll learn about our coaching program, and you'll learn about some of the work we're doing to save the lives of some very vulnerable people in Africa right now. So I invite you to go over. You want to find out more? Go look at our website and www.diamondmindacademy.org, and you'll find our coaching program, and you'll find all of our nonprofit work too. So we'd welcome you. I would welcome you, and I think Naji would too, to join us in that community.
100%. Yes. Go look at it. It's that's a beautiful nonprofit uh, opportunity there that I recognize that is really making a change in Africa and in the entire world. And if you go check it out, you see what I mean. And the coaching program Empowered Existence is also a magnificent offering, I must
Yeah,
say. And
yeah,
it's
I think so too.
I,
I think so too. So
yeah,
you go check out the website. You'll learn a lot about what we're doing, and then contact us. Send me a message, send Naji a message, send us an email. How you want to get you? I'd love to meet you. That's what we want to do. We're doing this because we want to engage with people. We want to help people learn how to live in this beautiful world we live in, what we call the fifth dimension. We're all living in the fifth dimension, by the way. You can't be alive and not living. We're all living in the kingdom of heaven. It's just whether we're aware of it or not. It's a lot of fun
That's
when
right.
you're really aware of it and know how to plug into it.
That's right. Thank you. What you focus on grows.
Yep.
Welcome to the fifth dimension.
Welcome to the fifth dimension.
All right.
Okay, sir. Well, thank you,
Okay,
sir.
with
It's been
that,
great talking to
everyone
you.
take
And
care.
until next week. Bye-bye for
See
now.
you soon.